Welcome back to our New Blood Championships. And spoilers for today's heat, not only do we have a machine from the All-Stars Championships, but 3 machines from the first World Championships back in February. So let's cut the chit-chat and check out tonight's battle board. The Shockatron on with everything against the spinning blade of huge Jabberwocky, Flipper Spinner up against the tank bot of major damage, Dan Tomke with the CO2 power flipper up against the South Africans and Crustacean, and the CO2 flipper of Aegis up against the drum puncher of Bioluminescence. Destructotron Axe Bot. Full-on weapons overboard this. 2-wheel drive, 2 front spikes, a scoop, an axe, 2 side spike panels, and a rear circular saw. Definitely provides a lot of defense and protection for the machine against attacks, but the ground clearance is quite high and can be taken advantage of, as seen in the World Championships against Chaos 2 in the semis. Huge Spinner. The biggest machine in the competition with the giant wheels and spinning blade, and virtually impossible to do any real damage to. Extremely well constructed to make damaging it almost impossible, especially with the steel armor, but those gigantic wheels do make a great target to attack.
Robot ears, stand by.
Destructotron with the spikes, the plow, the fire axe, and the rear circular saw. And huge with the giant wheels, the small body, and the big blade.
2, 1. Activate.
Now, how is this gonna work? Well, huge already over, but oh, well, that was a smack. Look at that. Let's have a look at that again. Here they go, bash right into the side, and it flings them both away. Who got off the worst from that attack, I wonder? I'm not sure. Watch out, Destructotron need to throw themselves into the pit. And speaking of the pit, down into it goes Huge. Can Huge even fit in there? Well, Destructotron just definitely wedged them in there. And now, Huge trying to move away. I think if both their wheels are stuck in the pit, there's nothing really for Huge to do. Then again, nor is there. If one wheel's moving, the other isn't, and they're stuck up like that. And, well, that's it. Destructotron breezing through, I think more by, actually they used Huge's size to their advantage. Huge, they are gone. Well done, Destructotron. And quite the surprise too for Destructotron to come out on top of that, given Huge's design. Next up, Jabberwocky and major damage. Jabberwocky Flipper. A weirdly built robot, but not a less unique one. A front flipper and saw blade for the main weapon. That's not the unique thing though. It's the 3-wheel drive setup with 2 wheels covered and protected under the body shell, and the big wheel that's exposed and out in the open. Wonder how that's going to affect the drive. Major damage. Axe Bot. A tank thought to have been lost in the arts of war, with its skeletal commander popping out to see the enemy. The 6-wheel drive offer very quick attacks in combination with the wedge lip and spiked axe, with the only issue being that there's no stream mech and it's very easy to topple over.
Robot ears, stand by.
Jabberwocky with the CO2 powered flipper and the rear drive setup, and major damage with the front plow and the axe.
3, 2, 1. Activate.
And immediately major damage away, but up and over, courtesy of Jabberwocky, and now throwing him onto the wall. You know what's going to happen, don't you? Very quick, very decisive. There you go. Out the arena, not wasting any time. And that's it. And a very quick victory for Jabberwocky. No real challenge. Jabberwocky very easily, seemingly through. Didn't even have to struggle, just 3 flips really, that was all it took. Anyway, Jabberwocky threw major damage out. Next up, Dan Tomke and Crustacean. Dan Tomke Flipper. A CO2 powered flipper with an adjustable ground clearance by going onto their back and adding 2 spikes to their arsenal. The armor is very tough, so getting through it is going to be a challenge, but there is a limited gas supply on board, like all flippers, and the safety link isn't exactly all that safe. Crush Station. Crusher. A vicious little crab with a very unique weapon. 2 front crushing claws that activate from the operator closing their hands while wearing special gloves. Not ever seen something like that before. The machine can also drive both ways up, making flipping it pointless, but in terms of drive, the handling is a bit lacking.
Robot ears, stand by.
Dan Tomkia with the CO2 flipper and Crush Station with the crushing claws.
3, 2, 1. Activate.
Go.
Crush Station is a very unique design, and immediately using it to their advantage to grab all of Dan Tomkia. But now Dan Tomkia underneath Crush Station and driving them towards the wall and flipping, and out they go, and that's very quick. Just as quick as the last fights of this heat. As Dan Tomkia spins into light. Well done, Dan Tomkia, for beating Crush Station in a very quick fashion. And I think Dan Tomkia knew the type of trouble Crush Station could have caused them, so good on them. Next up, Aegis and Bioluminescence. Aegis Flipper. A very strong flipper powered by CO2, which also helps prevent machines from getting underneath it from the front. The armor is made from Kevlar 29, making it completely unfazed by the flames, but there is a limited gas supply for the weapon, and the turning circle is not that great. Bioluminescence Spinner. A quick little bot with a spinning blade which can also be used to punch the opposition. Its speed makes it hard to throw over, and it also makes it hard to strike at the exposed wheels.
Robot ears, stand by.
Aegis with the CO2 powered flipper and the flameproof Kevlar body shell, and Bioluminescence with the drum spinning puncher.
3, 2, 1. Activate.
Go.
Best way to describe the weapon really is a drum spinning puncher, as it's already getting around the side of Aegis and slamming them into the wall as they're slamming their blade into the side of Aegis. And Aegis unable to do anything. There is mobility. As I said, the turning circle is not all that great when they're stationary. Now they get a flip in on Bioluminescence. Was that luck? I don't know, but Bioluminescence is extremely quick, and it's once again around the side of Aegis, pinning them against the wall in the other corner of the arena. Aegis Bioluminescence doing a wheelie and going on their side. That's intelligent. Oh! And now going over the spike, and that's giving Aegis the chance to throw Bioluminescence up onto their weapon. Now, can Bioluminescence come back? Aegis tries to throw them out the arena. They're gonna rue that. They should have just left them there as Bioluminescence comes in on the attack again and is now underneath Aegis. And that drum spinner doing serious damage. There's smoke coming out of Aegis. And now underneath them again to do even more damage. And now there's fire. And there's no life left in Aegis. They are done for. They're being counted out. The flipper may work, but the drive does not. They are immobilized as Bioluminescence spins around in the light as they go through to the second round. Poor Aegis. They didn't have much of a chance, really. He got bullied right from the get-go. Hang on, how are 2 of the tires coming up? And Bioluminescence spins the way into the pit as Cease is called. Doesn't really matter though. Aegis, they're out of it. Bioluminescence, they go through. Lovely jubbly. Bioluminescence, the only machine on the right side to actually win in this heat. But they're through, and this is how round 2 looks. Bioluminescence will be taking on Jabberwocky later, but first, Destructotron and the Flipper of Dan Tomkia. This should be interesting.
Robot ears, stand by.
Destructotron, armed to the teeth, and Dan Tomkia with the CO2 Flipper.
3, 2, 1. Activate.
Destructotron not really good with flippers, although Dan Tomkia seems to do a stupid wheelie every time they move, which could definitely hinder them, and it's definitely hindering them now because they're on top of Destructotron. Destructotron's underneath them, and they can use that to their advantage to push them into the wall and bring down that axe, which I don't think does any real damage, unless you're counting out one moment from Battle of the YouTubers Taylor vs. Einars. And Destructotron coming in with the rear blade on the underbelly of Dan Tomkia now. Dan Tomkia slamming into the side, now on top of Destructotron. And that's a problem because Destructotron can use that to their advantage to throw them into the pit, as they do now. And now, that's the... Oh, hello! Dan Tomkia's got themselves out! So this fight is still on, up and over once again. And now here we go. And now Destructotron's in the pit. Well, this is definitely going to have to be one for the judges, I think. Dan Tomkia is now stuck on the edge of the pit. They can't move. They flip away, self-right, reverse into the wall. I think the judge will have to call on this one. This is where Dan Tomkia fell into the pit. I think it'd have to go for Destructotron here, just for that, but Dan Tomkia got out of the pit brilliantly, and then they flipped away and flung away again. Destructotron hoped to get him back in, and threw themselves in. And I'm being told by the judges that they've gone for Destructotron. They go to the heat final. Next up, Jabberwocky, Bioluminescence.
Robot ears, stand by.
Jabberwocky with the CO2 Flipper and the weird drive configuration. And Bioluminescence with the drum spinning puncher.
3, 2, 1.
I should also mention the very quick drive, as it's already met up with Jabberwocky. Oh! But they've driven themselves into the pit! Well, that was extremely over and done with very quickly, wasn't it? Jabberwocky reverses to the real wall. Well, I thought Bioluminescence would go on to win this heat, but no. They're in the pit, and Jabberwocky somehow goes through. Well, it wouldn't be Robot Wars if there wasn't some form of shock upset. Bioluminescence, they crash out. Jabberwocky, they go through to the heat final to face off against Destructotron, semi-finalists of the first World Championships, and they fought before as well in Robot Wars Series 2. This should be an interesting grudge match. The heat final between Destructotron and Jabberwocky. An interesting heat final. Let's see how they got here. Destructotron took on Huge. That was the only real attack Huge ever really landed before Destructotron saw to them down to the pit. Got them wedged, and they probably could have just left them there, to be honest, but they decided to play with them. Nothing really Huge could do, they were out of it. And then Dan Tomkia. A surprise for me, actually. I thought Dan Tomkia would have won, given the fact they're a flipper, but no. Destructotron had other plans, threw them into the pit, but then look at this. They came out of the pit, Dan Tomkia, and then Destructotron threw themselves in. Weirdly, but the judges ruled for Destructotron there. Meanwhile, Jabberwocky quickly threw over major damage. Threw them onto the wall, and then one miss and a flip later, they were out. And then Bioluminescence extremely lucky as they caught the lip of the pit and threw themselves in.
Roboteers, stand by.
Destructotron with the scoop, the spikes, the saw, and the axe. That doesn't do anything. And Jabberwocky with the 3-wheel drive and the CO2 powered flipper.
3, 2, 1. Activate.
How will this go? Well, oh, hello, Destructotron might be in luck here because Jabberwocky's flipper's up. They fired the flipper way too early. Now, that could prove to be a problem, although maybe Jabberwocky wants a fight, so they're not using the flipper as a flipper. They're using it as some sort of, I don't know what, but whatever it is, it's working as it's got them around the side of Destructotron, and despite a buffet from the spike, they are fully on top. And can Jabberwocky now get Destructotron up and over? No. And they missed the spike, weirdly enough. And now Jabberwocky slamming Destructotron against the wall. And now Jabberwocky, hang on a second! What are you doing, Jabberwocky? No! That is bang out of order, Jabberwocky! You cannot do that! You cannot forcefully pin your opponent against the wall. That's against the rules. You will be disqualified for that. Destructotron now, though, free, but still being pressurized by Jabberwocky. Destructotron in trouble. They've not been able to use their weaponry, have they? Not really, not through any real success. Trying to get away from Jabberwocky. However, I don't think they will until that moment. The big wheel on the edge of the pit. And it's only a matter of time before Jabberwocky falls into the pit of oblivion. And Destructotron heads through to the grand finals. Look at this. I thought that would be its Achilles heel. The pit and the gigantic wheel over the edge. And that was the end of Jabberwocky. That's as far as they go in this competition. Despite the major skullduggery. What on earth is Destructotron doing? Why are you playing with them? Go away. They're out of it. They are gone. And Destructotron, in my opinion, the surprise package. I'm surprised Destructotron has won this. I'm surprised they've gone through to the grand finals. But kudos to them, as they're clearly caught in the pit again. Why? Despite some serious skullduggery, Jabberwocky's drive system caused their downfall as they end up down the pit with Destructotron taking advantage and making it through to the grand finals. Quite a surprise, but they go through. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you next time. Farewell.